Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Spence here at Core 4x4. Today I'm back in the studio, got the TJ in here, and I'm really excited to show you our new Cruise Series lift kit that we're going to be putting on this bad boy. Now if you watched the last video, we've already installed an adjustable front track bar, so we're going to be putting the rest of the lift kit on. So let's get over to the table and I'll show you what we're doing today. Okay, so today we're going to be installing our Cruise Series lift kit on the TJ we have in the shop. Now this does fit the LJ models as well. It is a 2-inch lift kit. It includes your front and rear coil springs as well as new shocks, a steering stabilizer, bump stop extensions because we want to extend those front bump stops so we're not tucking our wheel up and ripping our fender flares off. And then we're also going to be relocating our rear track bar to keep the geometry correct back there. Now we've also included our fixed length lower control arms. This is a new product that we're including in this lift kit. This will get our axles back to center and help us keep our drivability on the road as we lift the Jeep. Now this installation is a pretty straightforward install. We're just removing the old shocks, putting the new shocks on, removing the old springs, putting the new springs on, and same with the lower control arms. Now the only real modification we are going to be doing in the rear track bar relocation bracket, we do have to drill a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that when it comes time. But for now, let's get the Jeep in the air and start taking things off. Alright, so we got the Jeep in the air and we got all the wheels off, but before we went much further, I really want to hit everything with penetrating fluid. This is an older Jeep, it does have some rust on it, and I really don't want to be messing with broken bolts. We're going to go around and hit everything, all the shock bolts, the control arm bolts, everything we're taking off, and hopefully that saves us. Okay, so our shock, our stud is still spinning on us, and we're at the top, so I'm going to try to get these needle nose vice grips in here to grab that to keep it from spinning. We'll see how that works. Alright, so we got both of the top shock bolts off, and we are only 2 bolts in and we're already sawzalling things, so that's not a good sign. I hope we give this penetrating fluid a little more time, it'll do its job. But going forward, we're just going to get this up. We're going to support the axle because we need to droop it enough to get our coils out and do our bump stop spacer. So we are going to have to detach the sway bar, so let's get at it. Alright, that bolt didn't turn at all, so I'm a little worried. What can happen with these lower control arm bolts is they will rust to the sleeve that's in the rubber bushing, which may happen. If that happens, we'll have to sawzall, but that crush sleeve that's in the bushing is a hardened steel, so your sawzall is going to just not do it. So you have to make sure you get between the bracket and that sleeve, so if you can get a nut off like this and pry it over. I'm hoping we don't have to, but you have to make sure you get right on the bolt instead of the bolt sleeve that the bolt's in. I'm sure a lot of people watching have dealt with that. That one was good. If I can get this bolt to turn easily, then we're okay. But if you turn it, or try to turn it like that, right in there, you can see there's a ton of rust in there, and the fact that I can't get that nut off, I can't even turn it. We ran into that problem I was just talking about. So yeah, I'll show you how to take care of that. So if you just pry your bracket open a little bit, you can get your blade in and be cutting right on the bolt. So that's what we're going to do here. But like I said, it's really important just to be cutting your bolt as opposed to your bolt sleeve when you're dealing with a rusty seized bolt on a control arm. This is what happens. On the back side, because we couldn't create that gap between the crush sleeve and the bracket, we're just gonna have to go through the sleeve. And it's gonna take a minute, and the rubber's getting really hot, and my battery died, so. This blade still has teeth, so. Got it. so we got that arm out. Just want to show you the difference in cutting through the bolt and the crush sleeve. So this side we were able to make that gap, and it cut right through that bolt, no problem. It's a softer grade. But on this side, because we couldn't create that gap because it was still clamped, it's all just rusted in place, we had to cut all the way through the bushing, the crush sleeve, and it wasn't until we got through the bolt that the arm finally came out. Now this crush sleeve is just a harder steel. If you have cheap blades on your Sawzall, you're gonna go through blades cutting through this. So, I mean, we're like 4 bolts in and cutting 2 of them. Hopefully the rest of the install isn't like this, but let's get back at it. That one's ugly. Okay, so we got the teardown of the front end complete. I did want to mention real quick though that since we are lifting and we're keeping our factory uppers here, we do want to make sure our rubber bushings don't have a preload on them because we will be at a different ride height. So the way we get rid of that preload at the new ride height is when we're all said and done, we're going to crack those bolts, just loosen them enough for that crush sleeve to turn back, and then we're going to re-torque all our rubber at ride height when we set the Jeep back down on the ground. So just one thing to watch on this install and with any rubber bushing. So yeah, so let's start putting parts on, and we can get the front end done and we'll move on to the rear. I always put a little grease on the outside of the bushings before installing the arms. This really makes it so you don't have to sit there and pump a ton of the grease through the arm to get it out to the actual wear surface. Also, once it's clamped down, it's a little harder for the grease to get all the way out to the bracket, which is where you can get some of the noise. Okay, so since we lifted and we put taller springs on, and because we're drooped, we do need to maneuver the axle a little bit. I like to use a cheater bar, and I put it right on top of the axle and under the tie rod. You're okay to go a little bit on these, they can handle it. But we are fighting what I talked about in the beginning is the preload on this rubber bushing, because we need to roll this axle forward like this. Well, the bottom of it needs to go forward to get our geometry. So we could break all the bolts on the upper arms loose right now, and that'll help a little bit. But honestly, we can just get a cheater bar. front end is finally done. These fixed arms look really good. Again, a really nice option if you don't want to mess with adjustability and you're only doing a few inches of lift. They just bolt right in. They're right at the length you need. Almost wraps it up for the front. We will come back to it when we're done with the rear, but let's get back there and start taking parts off. Now that's a cheater bar. So we got the rear end tore down. We got the springs off, shocks off, and the rear track bar. We didn't have to disconnect the sway bar, which is nice. It drooped enough. We should be able to get the new coils in. But before we do anything, we need to do our modification for the rear track bar relocation bracket. So the way this works is we're going to bolt it on with their bolt and sleeve provided. Then we need to drill 2 holes, one right here and one on top here, to secure this bracket to your existing OEM bracket. So we'll bolt this on so it's secure, and then we'll drill right through the existing holes on the bracket so everything lines up nice, and then we'll bolt it together, and that'll be it for the relocation bracket on the track bar. Okay, before I got to the drilling, I just wanted to mention there are 2 different hole sizes we're drilling on here. Now this one on the back is a 1/2 inch hole, so you'll need a 1/2 inch drill bit, and the one on top is 7/16. I don't know why they do different holes like that. It's so close. Just make them both 1/2 inch or both 7/16. We'll get it drilled and bolted on, then we'll start throwing the rest of the rear end together. Whew, freaking tight. All right, so that wraps it up for everything that we can do up in the air. What we have left is the rear track bar. We need to get it in the bracket. It also has rubber bushings, so we're going to torque it down while it's on the ground at ride height. The rear shocks, the lower bushing is also a rubber bushing. We're going to do that on the ground. And then we just need to go around to all the upper control arms, break the nuts loose, and retorque them at their new ride height after we set the Jeep on the ground. So for now, we're going to get the wheels on and get it down. go to the rear. Beautiful. We're done. Okay, let's get out of here. So that is it for our Crew Series lift kit on the Wrangler TJ. Now, we had some broken bolts, we had to cut some seized bolts, and that's just part of working on these old Jeeps. This is an awesome lift kit. It is a very good option if you want to run a 33-inch tire, which we can on this Jeep now. Comes with our fixed length lower control arms, which is an awesome just bolt in, forget about it setup. So if you want to check out this lift, it will be available in the description below. And I just wanted to say thank you guys again for all your support. If you like the video, if you like the content, if you like TJs, please like, comment, and subscribe because that really helps us out. And we'll catch you in the next one.